Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. Of course, it is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live on this, what is it, Friday morning.
Welcome to Freedom Friday.
Yes, indeed, it is. For those of you who are superstitious, I often say stupid-stitious, it is Friday, January number 13 in the year of our Lord 2017. We start off the year with a bang with a Friday the 13th. And I'm not talking about the movie either. That's right. It is Freedom Friday, which means that we take things a little bit lighter today. Most of the topics today are on a lighter note. And because we like to celebrate the weekend and the freedom that we're going to be getting back. Yes, indeed. Some of the freedoms that we are expecting to regain as by this time next week. This is the last full weekend of a President Barack Hussein Obama, because next weekend it should be President Donald John Trump. I do believe that is John is his middle name. And, everybody's getting really, really excited about it. And we'll get into some of the stuff about Trump and the inauguration that's coming up, and I am sure many of you are going to you're going to want to be here, especially next Friday morning, because it's going to be like and I don't want to sound like a sycophant, but it's going to be kind of like a mini celebration leading up to noon, because we're here 9 to noon, perfect time, right? Eastern time, so it gets right up to the door of Donald J. Trump taking the oath of office. Lots of stuff is going to be changing in about a week. They're already, I guess they've already passed in the House a repeal of Obamacare. Is it in the House or was it the Senate? I think the Senate. I'm sorry, I got it backwards. And they're working on it in the House. And I guess Ryan has got to. You know what? I got some stats here, a poll here. They shouldn't really worry so much about a replay. They got to stop letting the Democrats, who are now in the most minority that they've been in like 70 years. They just need to pay attention to what the American public is saying. American people, we just tell them, just repeal it. Forget about any sort of replacement, folks. We don't, guys and girls in Washington, we don't need it. We don't want it. Get the hell out of our lives. our daily lives. I mean, we got our states and municipalities are in our lives daily as it is, enough as it is. I mean, many places across the country. I'm surprised to find out how many places across the country there is an ordinance or a law against you leaving your keys in the ignition of your car in your own driveway when you're warming up your car. I know, it shouldn't. Yeah, well, there's a number of different reasons for it, but I'm really surprised by that. Anyway, one of the remind me to. I'm going to have to get to. I've tried a number of times to explain the difference between conservatives and libertarians. Because I'm still getting these folks that they run around and they tell me the only person, a lot of times they'll put in capital letters, the only person I trust on a federal level is Ron Paul. Well, Ron Paul is not an elected official anymore. And if I say, well, you mean his son Rand now, right? No, Rand's a sellout. What? You mean Ron Paul is not a conservative. I don't know how many times I've had to explain this to people. Ron Paul is these people, libertarians like to think of themselves as true conservatives. But if you actually go back in time to around the days of, our founders who were writing, some of them were true, near bat crazy libertarians. Some of them really didn't want a federal type of government. They didn't want they wanted just the 13 colonies to become 13 individual countries, 13 states, without any sort of federal union. They didn't want a union. If they did, they wanted if they were okay with a union, they wanted this very loose type of union that didn't really have a federal presence as we know it. It would have been more like a committee. Each state would, pretty much like it was when they were trying to decide on what to do about England and that they should break away. They sent delegates to Philadelphia and New York and places when they met. So that's kind of they wanted to keep. Some of them wanted to keep it that way. So those were libertarians. But the Constitution is not a libertarian type of document. It's a conservative document, not a libertarian document, where there is a good, strong central government, but with limitations. And today's government has gone way beyond its constitutional limitations, but that's what they put in place. It was a conservative idea that if they were really going to be a strong union, they needed to have a central place in order to be unionized, basically. Now, at first it was New York City, but then they started planning Washington, D.C., and they decided that this is how they were going to unionize. And they were going to unionize it in a federalist type of way, which is a very conservative notion, limited government. Now they expected that limited type of government to be carried over in the various states. And as we see, depending on the state, that didn't happen very, too well. I mean, look at California, New York State, just ridiculous. Illinois, just state after state now, it just seems like state regulation and laws have just gone overboard. But so there is this difference. And Ron Paul, they misunderstand and misconstrued what the founders wrote in the Constitution. Ron Paul was of the opinion that we weren't supposed to have a standing army, which was BS, basically. Here's a guy who wanted, in 1850, it was quite all right for there to be a minimal standing army because, Minutemen 1776 Minutemen, people that could be ready within a minute, that would be great. They could all be there but to have a professional, regimented military, it just can't be some ad hoc thing that people just, you go knock on somebody's door. The enemy's coming, and then they all grab their muskets. It doesn't work that way anymore. In order to have a professional soldier, and that's what you need when you're fighting wars today, is a professional soldier. It can't be a non-standing army. Pretty much, for a good part of this country, we've had a standing army. Yeah, it's been pretty minimal in the first half of our history. But as we've seen at the start of World War I, World War II, when we had a standing army, that we still got, on occasion got thrashed. So you can't park. We've got most of our carriers parked right now in dock, and I read an article about some captains saying, yeah, not a big deal. We could be ready to go from cold to full startup in less than a week. Like, that's not going to work. You just can't jumpstart an aircraft carrier and pull it out of dock in a minute. It just doesn't happen. So there is this notion that we have got, in order to protect our own, not to mention, the Navy is supposed to be out there because the Navy was thought up not to be parked, but it was developed and drawn up to do what, folks? To protect American ships in international shipping lanes. You can't protect American ships, cargo ships and the like, commercial ships, if you're parked in dock. So that was why the Navy was really created. It wasn't necessarily created to protect our coastlines and our borders, but it was sent out there to protect the shipping lanes and to protect U.S.-based ships in international waters from piracy and from other foreign countries. So the whole notion that Ron Paul once said that, he even said it. Hey, we don't need to have a huge Navy. It needs to, most of it can be parked. That was not the job of the Navy as it was first, introduced to the country, and the reason why it was created. It wasn't created to, like England to project its power and become a colonizer and make it an empire. That's how England was pretty much empire, was via its Navy. The U.S. Navy was brought to bear and set afloat to protect international shipping lanes for U.S. ships. You can't do that if you're parked in dock. So there is a difference between libertarians. They've got an erroneous notion of what the Constitution says and what it means, especially when it comes to national defense. So these people that say, well, I only trust Ron Paul, then you automatically know when they say that they're a nut job libertarian and they do not understand the conservative mantra and how most of the founders would be today considered true conservatives. There is a big difference, folks. Huge. As some car dealer out in I know Donald Trump says huge too. It's going to be huge. This presidency is going to be huge. Well, this was a Fusillo. Some people in central New York, upstate New York, and parts of Florida know who Fusillo is. He's been saying that for years too in his commercials. Huge. I remember his first spokesman for his car dealership was a Ronald Reagan lookalike. That guy, that guy started with one dealership. I think it was a Hyundai. Dealership. And he quickly started, and he wasn't even in a major metropolitan area. He wasn't in Syracuse. He was north of Syracuse. If you look on a map, he was north on 81, where he started. Now he's got some sort of what he calls an auto mall. This guy started, late 80s, early 90s, I think he started, with one dealership. And he grew like you would not believe. Now I think he has dealerships that represent just about every manufacturer and nameplate out there. All over New York. I think he's got a couple of dealerships in Massachusetts now too. And he did something in central New York that forced a long-standing, long-established, well-known dealership, who was the big daddy on the block for decades, forced them, the Burdick family, the Burdick companies, Burdick car dealerships. He forced that family of dealerships to adapt to him, the newcomer. This was a guy who actually came up with something called an auto mall, where he actually brought all his dealerships together on basically one giant lot. And that eventually forced the Burdick companies, the Burdick family of car dealers, to actually buy a failed shopping mall. And they converted the shopping mall into they brought all their dealerships onto one location in the shopping mall. In response to this upstart by the name of Fusillo. See, you can always change the game, right? You don't have to do things the way other people want you to do them. You can change the game, and if you don't keep up, then you could get left behind, and pretty soon people start, somebody new starts to force the issue. Makes you change. That's a good thing.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
(603-835-3226) is the number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show this Friday morning, which is the Freedom Friday edition of the Rod Eccles Show. You know, so all you got to do is just dial that number if you want, and just about anything goes this morning, as it does every Friday morning. I just ask that you keep it clean, please. You know, we don't want a lot of. Well, you can be a rabble rouser if you want. I don't mind if you're a rabble rouser. You can be a rabble rouser. How many people are? Well, I mean, let's see a show of hands out there. I can see some people now saying, "He's on the radio. He can't see us." And some people are going to be thinking, "Wait, Rod can see. Rod can see us." Martha, you better cover up that camera on the computer because Rod can see us. I know there are people out there. Yeah, well, you never know. I could have hacked somebody's, just like the Russians. I could have hacked your computer, and I can see you in your computer right now. Don't worry, folks. I don't have skills to hack a toy computer. Little, those little. What were those little frog things? I don't know. Lily pad, whatever it was. Remember those back in the day? I don't even have the skills to hack one of those things. I sometimes have a hard time putting batteries in some electronic devices, so you ain't got to worry about me hacking your computer. But I do make sure that I make it as difficult as possible for people to hack. Look, you got to take your own precautions in this stuff. Any device that I have that has except for my phone, but the phone's usually in my pocket. But any device that has a built-in camera on it, I usually keep that thing covered. So 2 of my 3 computers have a built-in camera. And, one of them I can't get into at the moment because the password got changed. And I don't know what the password has changed to, and I'm still trying to break back into my own computer. See, I can't even hack into my own computer. I'm not going to be able to hack into somebody else's. And the other one, I keep the little camera thing closed up, covered. Just because I've seen all these wonderful things. They used to, YouTube started taking them down a while back. Video recordings of people who've been hacked. And we've seen them. People have their computer open and they don't realize that they're being filmed, and they do all, especially women. They've done all, getting undressed in front of their computer, and they think their computer's off or not open to a particular page or browser, but somebody's looking in on them. And they made movies about hacking into video stuff and people watching you too. So one of the big genres is comedy. The second, I think the number 1 genre right now is comedy. The number 2 genre is not adventure or action or anything like that or romantic it is horror. Now, horror used to be relegated to B-movie status. In the 50s and 60s, even the 70s, horror was pretty much, they were all B-movies. The vast majority of them were B-movies. And all of a sudden, horror decided to jump up. And they made a couple of horror movies about that. And they call them suspense or thrillers, but no, they're really kind of horror movies. Based on being able to hack into people's video feeds, whether it be on their security cameras or their computers or what have you. Yeah, it can be a little scary and disconcerting to see yourself online when you didn't put it there.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the idiot left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something, Snowflake.
(603-835-3226). That is the number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show on this Friday, Freedom Friday edition. 1 week out, folks, 1 week out. And then we will have not a president-elect Donald Trump and a President Barack Obama. We will have a President Trump and a former President Obama. I know a lot of people think that wish that could happen today. There are a lot of people that are thinking, well, I'll get to that more. I got a lot of stuff here in the Friday paper pile, but we'll get to some of that a little more serious stuff in just a moment. This morning I came across something. I was looking at something and I'm thinking, hey, whatever happened to, because I don't get the newspaper anymore. There was a time when I stopped getting the paper except for the Sunday. I used to only get the Sunday edition, and mostly it was because of coupons and comic strips. Comic, I don't, because anytime I want to read newspapers, I just go online and read any of them that I want. Most of them I can read for no cost. Why do I need to pay for a subscription? A lot of the newspapers are online, and they still get paid because they throw all those stupid ads at you anyway on online. So most of them you still see the ads. If it's a newspaper, how many people really pay attention to if you read a newspaper? Unless it's a circular, the sales circulars, do you really pay attention to the ads in a newspaper? 99.9% of the time, no. And so I guess at one time they did work, but nobody really pays attention to them now. Unless if they pull out a circular, that's different. They open it, then they know they're looking at an ad. But I only got the paper because of coupons, and I got caught up into those in one of those shows like the super couponers, extreme couponing. That was it. And I thought, hey, that would be kind of neat to be able to do that too. And as I did it for about a year, I realized it was a lot of work. And as you watch those extreme couponing shows, I don't care if it's A&E had it, I think, and there was a couple of other shows that probably weren't as good as the original, but you start really watching those shows and you realize these people are spending like 4 to 8 hours a day. So it's a full-time job. They better be, just to save some money. Well, I guess, I guess if you can do it from home and and you enjoy doing it, it's better than going out and getting a job, I suppose. But because some of these people, they probably, if they were smart, I've noticed how most of them do not seem to be very smart. It's this extreme couponing is a new kind of hoarding. Yeah, we've got anybody ever watch the Extreme Hoarders on TV on those the cable networks? I've seen a couple episodes and I just think there's no way in hell I could ever live like that. I don't know how anybody lives like that. And they call it a mental disorder. I don't know what kind of mental disorder that is. I guess there's a British version of Extreme Hoarders where they put for what is it, like a week or two, they have a hoarder and a compulsive person, compulsive disorders. They put a compulsive, extreme clean compulsive disorder with a hoarder. and they move this person into this hoarder's house for a week, and I saw half an episode. It was kind of hilarious. I mean, I would think that's cruel and unusual punishment to put a compulsive person who's extremely neat in it. You remember the TV show? I never watched it, but Monk. Remember Monk? I forget the actor's name who was Monk, but that would be like putting Monk in with a hoarder. Hey, he would freak out. Hell, I wouldn't go into some of these extreme hoarding houses. I'd freak out. So I don't know how people do it. But anyway, so you have these extreme couponers that they're these new kind of hoarders. They just keep the stuff that they will never ever use in a lifetime. They gather stuff and they keep gathering because hey, it's free. With the coupons and rebates and that kind of thing, they can get it for free. So what if I have 110 years worth of toothbrushes? I'm still going to get more. So what I don't understand is these people are able to do that. But they don't turn around. Most of them don't turn around and try to make a profit off of it, or at least donate. There was one episode I saw an extreme couponer. He was an assistant pastor of a church. And this guy, he would do extreme couponing, and he would get like, I saw him twice. I saw him get over $700 worth of groceries and products and stuff at a grocery store, and he paid less than. And one time he paid $0. But the first time I saw him, he paid less than $50 for his over $700 haul. And the second time, he said, "We're going for the gusto now. We're going all out. Our job is to not have to pay a dime." And he didn't. Paid. Actually, I don't recall if he had to pay tax. I think that may have been all he had to pay, but his total was $0. And he took a little bit out of what him and his family needed, but 90% of what he got for free, he donated to his church. They have kind of like a food bank at the church, and he donated all that stuff to the church, to their food bank. So that's a good thing. But most of these other people, they have a garage or a basement full. I mean, they make these beautiful shelves. It looks like a store when you look at how organized these people are. That's one thing about these types of hoarders. They're very organized. Their stuff is not all over the place like a regular hoarder. They're very organized. So what I don't understand is I haven't seen an episode yet where any of them take all that stuff that they get for free or nearly free and make money on it. Now, how do you do that? You throw all that crap up on Amazon. And some of the other, even Walmart has it, and Sears has it, and individual sellers can put stuff up for sale. But Amazon is a big daddy of them all, and I don't see them putting that stuff up there. They just keep getting more and more and more because it's free. So you got 110 years worth of toothbrushes, but you don't sell them. You'll never use them, and you keep getting more. Look, if I was that extreme and I was able to do that, man, you know how much money some of those people could, this one person just said, yeah, I put an estimate on, and she's showing her, her basement, stock, as they call it, her stock, her entire basement, just, lined up, shelves, just like a grocery store, basically. She estimated she had over $60,000 worth of product down there. And she had 3 freezers. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how you can go through that much frozen food. 3 freezers full of frozen product. Now, granted, I don't think you can sell frozen product via Amazon, so that'd be a little bit more difficult. But the rest of that stuff, non-perishable, don't sell it. You're never going to use it. Sure, there's another episode I saw where they have their stockpile in their garage, and the woman leaves the door unlocked, and she's told her entire neighborhood, basically her family in her neighborhood, if they need anything, to go in there and just take what you need. Just take what you need, please. And everybody respects that. It seems like she says she's never had a problem. But again, she's a woman that goes out there and does extreme couponing, and she says if she spends more than $20 or more than a $20 bill whenever she shops, she's done it wrong, and she's depressed. So basically, she gets all of her crap for free too. But but I tried it for about a year, found out that it was a hell of a lot of work, and I had better things to do with my time. Now, there might be people out there under the sound of my voice that do extreme couponing or some version of it. And I say, good on you on that one. Good on you. I'm glad you're able to do it because I couldn't. But anyway, I got off track because I was talking about the newspaper and why I don't buy them anymore because I don't need to. But I still have all those wonderful ads, in my face whenever I go to a lot of these online publications, and that's okay. And they got to be able to pay for it and keep their lights on and their computers running too. So if they do it by ads, I mean I understand that. Not a big. I just don't like it when they force me to alter my computer in order to accept their ads. No, I'm not doing that. I just won't go to you anymore. Some of them will say, well, we've noticed you have an ad blocker. Please turn it off. Now, most will ask gently to remind you to turn off the ad blocker so they can show you ads because their ad system is based on some sort of, however ad blockers work, I guess is spammy. So it blocks it because I go to plenty of websites where ads are plainly shown, but they're not spammy, obviously. And some websites, they want to be spammy. In some, they're very rare, refuse to let you see their content unless you turn off your ad blocker. Now, those are the ones I think are dangerous, and I just leave and never go back. So, show me an ad that's not spammy, and don't give me those stupid pop-ups and pop-unders. That used to be the huge thing, pop-ups and pop-unders. And it used to bog down people's computers. Mine included. I got tired of that. So if you got pop-ups, and now it's the big thing is join our email list, and ad blockers don't seem to block those. But those are annoying as hell. Look, just put your notice off to the side. If I want to join your email, I'll join it. But don't put it in my face and keep me from doing what I want to do because it's an interruption. It's a pain in the you-know-what. I will never do that at my website. I will never put any pop-up or pop-under on my. If you go to my site and there's a pop-up or pop-under, you've got some spyware or something on your computer because I do not put that stuff on my sites. Just so you know. And the ads are very minimal. They just help pay for the maintenance of the website. I mean, you still got to pay money for to host your website, so that's what they're there for. But they're unintrusive. They're off to the side. You see them or you don't see them. It's up to you. But I never knowingly put any pop-up ware or anything on my sites. And if you get one, let me know because you're either being spammed or somebody's hacked my sites. Because I don't do that. Because it's annoying. I hate it. But, so I don't get the newspapers. But there's one thing in the newspapers that I miss. And I was just thinking about that this morning. I haven't read a good comic strip in a while. And I love, so there were some, do comic strip artists, these, a lot of them are syndicated. Are they still really making any money? Because it used to, if you had a good comic strip and you were a hit, you made a lot of money. I mean, there were things like, called Charles Schultz with Peanuts, but then there was Bloom County. I used to love Bloom County. And then Burke Breathe went off and did something nut jobbery and lost most of his fan base, and they tried to bring Bloom County back with a different name with some slightly different characters, and I guess it still didn't work. But anyway, love Bloom County. I know people used to love Doonesbury. I never did like Doonesbury. Yeah, I never really got into it. But I don't know if these guys still making tons of money. They've had to change the way they've done things, and so one of my favorites was, other than Peanuts and Bloom County, but it's still active today, was Rose is Rose. There's another one I think that she's retired and they're just they're doing the Peanuts thing and just reprinting all the strips that she's done over the many years, and that is for better or for worse. That's another good strip. There are some Bloom County and Rose is Rose made me laugh out loud, literally reading something and I'd crack up. But I don't know. Do people really read comic strips anymore? Is that what they get the papers? Do you just get Sunday newspapers just so you can get the comic strips and coupons and ad circulars, or do you read the daily? I mean, I don't read the daily on, I guess it's like a book. Maybe there's something about newspapers while you're sitting at breakfast reading the morning edition, but I never really did that either. So I guess maybe I'm not really missing the newspaper so much. If somebody were just to have a daily newspaper with just comics in it, I might get that daily.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
603-835-3226. As we're back, in the chat room, I have these people that I'm going to call them super fans, because that's what they are. I really thoroughly and highly appreciate them to no end. They really don't realize how much I do appreciate them. But kind of talking about making your own products versus buying all this stuff at the store, because coupons. The trouble with coupons is that you usually do get 90% of the coupons are stuff that you don't buy in the first place. But and look, these manufacturers and stores understand this, and they're trying to entice you to buy something that you normally would not buy. And that's the problem with and it's very difficult to get the coupons that you want, even online. Yeah, I did the whole thing. And you go to these different coupon websites, extreme coupon websites, and they tell you what coupons or where to get them. But the ones that you really want, they're hard to find if they even exist. However, I did see a woman at one point on that extreme couponer. She was a granola, basically. You know what we call the granola. She only bought organic stuff and natural stuff and food and products, and she was still able to do the same thing. Now, I don't know where the hell she found all those natural product and organic product coupons, because I sure as hell couldn't find them. But I don't buy a lot of chemical products, house cleaners and things. I make my own. And, something simple. You put some white vinegar, mix it with water, like a 50-50. If you want it to smell nice, not vinegary, you can put an essential oil in there or a lemon. Just drop a lemon peel in it. Smells really nice. It shines things up like you would not believe. You know what else shines and cleans your mirrors and your windows? And unless you have something really, really grimy, windows that are really, but it works perfect and shines them like you would not believe. It's just rubbing alcohol, 70% rubbing alcohol. That's all I use. I don't buy Windex. I don't, and if you think that you need a little bit more cleaning strength in your glass cleaner, you get a bottle of rubbing alcohol, pour 2 capfuls of ammonia, just ammonia in there. What does Windex say? Yeah, we got ammonia D. Well, that's pretty much all it is. You know what Windex is? Windex is pretty much alcohol, ammonia, water, and coloring. And how much do you pay for that? Exactly. And well, I don't have to mix it, Rod. Well, you don't got to mix alcohol either. You just go to the store, and for like $1, you buy a bottle of 70% rubbing alcohol, and you take a spraying head, and and it fits right on there, and you stick it in there in the bottle, and you spray, and there you go. And alcohol does have disinfecting properties too, by the way. Hospitals use alcohol. They use, rubbing alcohol, basically. They use alcohol. So it's not like doesn't really clean or disinfect. Vinegar is also a natural, lemon juice, natural disinfectant. And people will put lemon oil. They'll squeeze a lemon peel, get some lemon oil, and put it in with another benign oil like walnut oil or olive oil or other natural wood oil, and make their own furniture polish. Yeah, no waxy coating. Like those others. I'm not going to name any, but there you have it. Yeah, it's stuff. You can be inventive. People make their own toothpaste. It works better than the stuff that you buy in the store. Whitening. You want to whiten your teeth? Use hydrogen peroxide and baking soda and salt, sea salt. Brush your teeth with that. You want to talk about whitening your teeth in about a week? There you go. No expensive, overpriced whitening toothpaste. Just saying. And when you're saving your money, I guess you can go to the bookstore later and buy a comic strip book. They put their comic strips in books nowadays. I guess that's how they make their money. So, buy Bloom County or something in the book form at the bookstore with all the money that you're saving from not buying all the chemical stuff.
America is America because it is so American. The children, they are the future of children, and she loves the children. Diversity is diverse when diversity is diversified. For a future you can see, for a future that brings with it all the hopes of tomorrow. By doing everything we did yesterday, we need a leader. We need a champion. We need her.
Vote for me. It's enough now. Give me it. It's mine. I want it. Just give me it. I want it now.
Stop asking questions and just give it to her already. Or you're a sexist, racist.
Paid for by criminals and idiots for Hillary Clinton, because let's face it, you'd have to be one or the other to vote for this complete monster.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And welcome back, all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from the studio. Tongue twisted. Why? Because it's Friday the 13th. That's why.
Welcome to Freedom Friday.
Yeah, if anything could go, well, if that's the worst that could go wrong on Friday the 13th is that I mush mouth some of my words, and then I will have lived through another awful day, as they say. How many movies did they make about Friday the 13th? There's been a bunch of them. Not just the movies that are named Friday the 13th either. There's more than that. But anyway, it is Friday. It is January number 13 in the year of our Lord 2017. And as we do every Friday, even though it is Friday the 13th, we're going on with Freedom Friday, which means that we take things a little bit lighter today. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. As it is every morning. No special number for Friday the 13th. But this Friday the 13th is the last full Friday for President Obama. For those of you who are into such things. And I know there is nobody that listens to this program that's into politics at all. Politics are current events. They can't stand politics and current events. Everybody who listens to this show, they can't stand politics and current events. You know, when they tune into the show, they fully expect me to be the straight male version of Perez Hilton. I know, I get it. I get it. I'm probably going to get bashed for that. Oh, Rod's an anti-gay. He's a homophobe. He doesn't like Perez Hilton simply because he's gay. No, that's not the case at all, actually. I just think Perez Hilton is a name. I don't care if he's straight, gay, bi. What are the other acronyms that they use? Questioning, queer, all that LGBT, PDQ, XYZ alphabet stuff. I don't care. They keep adding to that, by the way. I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of, well, do you know why they do that? Do you know? These are the same people. They come up with these labels all the time. Now, it used to be, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and straight. Right? Well, then we had to add the trans, and they had to get rid of the S. So straight people are not in the LGBT community. It's for transgender, or people who actually go through the process of trying to change their outward appearance of being one sex or the other to another, to the opposite one. So we got the LGBT. Well, then all of a sudden you had all these youngsters coming up in the 90s that they were told that labels, you don't label people, and it was meant to stop calling people particular names. Some the derogatory stuff. The N word for blacks and the S word for Latinos. And the G word for Italians. All those they were trying to get people away from doing that. And look, you weren't going to get away from that, but in the C word for the C or H word for white people, y'all whites are lucky. You got 2 words for you, derogatory words for you. Just saying. So I guess that must be part of that white privilege. But you have they were trying to get away from that stuff, or trying to keep people from using those types of words and being derogatory towards others. So they were talking about that's labeling somebody, especially in this country when a person most likely had a multi-ethnic background. And you couldn't, do you call somebody who's well, they decided to come up with other names too, for anybody who was multi-ethnic background, was black and Asian, like Tiger Woods. Well, he's Blasian. Or if you're black and Latino, then they call them Latinos. And of course, if you were black and white, then you were mulatto. I don't know why, but yeah, that's just what the term means. So they came up with these other types of things to try to bring about acknowledgement of people's diverse background and culture. Well, then as things started to get even more mixed up, then that didn't work either. But they wanted to get people away from teach kids not to be derogatory. So they were teaching them don't put labels. They were saying those derogatory words or terms were labels. Well, those kids meant to grew up to think that, well, don't label me at all. Don't put a label on me. If you say, well, you're gay or you're straight. I don't accept it. I don't accept labels. So, in order to be different, because they have to put themselves in a category like everybody else does, but they didn't want to be labeled. What they didn't want is they didn't want the standard label. So they started coming up with these new and different labels. Now, notice how these people who don't like to be labeled are coming up with new labels all the time. And then we got to LGBTQ. What the hell does Q stand for? Well, Q is for queer. Well, I don't know what queer means. I thought queer was gay. But evidently it's not. And then they had to add another Q because, some kids were confused. They didn't know. They didn't really know if they were or if they weren't. So they were questioning. Okay, that's one label I do understand. You want to, because kids don't know what the hell they are half the time. It's a questioning period. Okay, question. Because, they're all confused anyway. They get all this confused stuff. And then they started adding all these other things. And I know there's the A one now, which is asexual. But asexual, people who really aren't interested in sex. And there are people out there like that. They're not attracted to either sex. They're not interested in sex at all. I don't know how that's physiologically possible. I don't know how, but it is. Now, I'm not talking about people who abstain from sex, like priests and monks and nuns and stuff, but people who just genuinely have no sex drive, whatever, and they have no attraction to men or male or female. Well, they're called asexuals. But I don't see that in the LGBT alphabet, though. They're pretty much like bisexuals. As far, did you know that gays and lesbians don't like bisexuals? I hear it all the time. Somebody says, "Well, I'm bi." "Oh, honey, you're gay." Well, okay. Guess you know that person more than they know themselves. Fine. And what are some of, there are a ton of others out there now. So that's why I say, LGBT, XYZ, PDQ, because they come up with a new label for the people that don't like to be labeled more and more. Seems like every day there's a new one. I can't keep up anymore. I just think it's kind of strange that the people that have always said that they don't want to be labeled, don't put a label on me. They invent new labels all the time. I guess if you have another label, it prevents you from being labeled somehow. It's circular reasoning, which is why I don't understand it, because it's illogical. But it is what it is, folks. You know I'm right because you've run into it yourself. Everybody out there has run into stuff like this. I don't know. Well, geez. I'd have hated to see some of these kids today run around in the 80s. Remember the 80s? Well, we had the punk rockers, and the punk rockers split off into the you had the punk rock, and you had the goths, and you had the glams, and you had the glam rockers and stuff. Glam rockers are not punk rockers, by the way. They were not. They were glam rockers. And of course you had the what did they call they weren't really boy bands, but like Wham. They weren't glam. They were something. There was another name for them, and I can't remember what it was. Remember when George Michael and his partner, well, not partner, but partner in the group. They weren't. What were they? Were they bubblegum pop? They were bubblegum pop, right? I think that was it. That was a term. No, bubblegum pop was more like New Edition when they were actually kids. Remember when they started out as kids, and New Kids in the Block. That was bubblegum pop. Pretty much, you know what for you modern people that don't know what New Edition was like when they first started, or New Kids in the Block, just think of Justin Bieber when he first got started. When he was like, 14 years old on YouTube. Yeah, he was bubblegum pop. Now, some people are like, don't make fun of Justin. Justin's a hero. He's a god. I love Justin. Please, this is a little punk. Did you hear, this is some of the more weightier matters that have happened overnight that you probably need to know about, is Obama ends the Cuban wet foot, dry foot refugee status. And he did it immediately, effective immediately. Now, I know some of you out there are probably thinking, well, did they come over here? And that's, we've always railed against that, Rod. We didn't like this, those people coming here but usually what happens with the wet foot, dry foot type of thing, the reason why it was instituted all those years ago is because most of those people were if they left Cuba, because they couldn't leave legally, it's kind of like communist. Anybody from another USSR, if you were able to get here, you were most likely going to be able to stay because you were considered to be a political refugee. And that's the same still with Cubans. Yeah, I know it's only 90 miles away, but that's, 90 miles over water. You can't swim 90 miles. Well, most people can't. And a lot of those people, they get in these boats that don't have power, so it's kind of like either they're trying to paddle the boat, the homemade boat, or they're relying on wind. And they try to do it in the dark of night because they don't want to get caught, because if they can get to the beach, dry land, then they can stay. The only time they don't get to stay is if they get intercepted in the water. And it really comes down to really being wet foot, dry foot. Because if you're coming up on a beach and Border Patrol or Coast Guard or the police get you in the water, this is how serious this stuff is. If they get you in the water, if anybody gets you in the water, then you have to go back. Which is why you'll see some of these people sometimes, go out at night and they'll have blankets and stuff in order to help and welcome these refugees basically to America. They can't go into the water to help them up. They can't help them because as soon as an American citizen or anybody on dry land touches them and they're in the water, they didn't make it and they have to go back. But if they can get 1 foot at least onto dry land, away from the water, out of the water, then they get to stay here. That's basically how it works. Well, Obama's ended that. And you're not going to, well, you probably will believe why. And we'll get to that when we get back. Don't go away, folks.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Welcome back. 603-835-3226 is the call-in number. I'm not even going to address that. Michael Ian Black. Who is Michael? I know Michael Ian Black. I know he's an actor. I'm just trying to remember what he's. Yeah, that's how important these people are. You can't even remember half. You recognize the name. You can even place the face of the name in your mind, but you can't even remember what the hell what movie or TV show that they did or were on or what have you. That's how important these people are to most of us. I know there's a few of us that live and die by what the celebrity does, but most of us, half the time we don't even remember what they did. Yeah, I'm sure, like you, we have, or like me, you've got your favorite actor or actress. I mean, I've always enjoyed Will Smith's stuff. Now, I haven't seen every single movie that Will Smith has made, but I can honestly say there has not been a Will Smith movie that I have seen that I did not like. And I've said that over and over again. I have, I've never seen a movie that starred Will Smith that I didn't like. And people say, well, what is he doing? What's he saying? Well, if you've ever heard Will Smith talk about himself before he became a star, a huge star, megastar, he used to always play around and say that his name was Will Smith. F, not T-H. So I do that now. I just say Will Smith. It's because it's the black thing to do, right? I guess I don't. It must be. Kind of like, that the English Cockney accent, they also have troubles with the TH. Instead of saying things like three, TH, three, they say free. Yeah, that's just their accent. So, but anyway, I don't give much credence to what these idiots say or think anymore. I really don't. But we've got this issue with Obama now. I mean, his last day. This guy has done more. He's done more in the last month of his presidency than he's probably done the previous 7.5 or 7.9 years that he's been in office. I mean, it's just ridiculous, some of the things that he's doing, and we'll get into some of those throughout the program today. Hopefully, we'll be able to get to those. But one of the things that he's done already is he's put the kibosh on this wet foot, dry foot thing with Cubans. And they were Cuban. Now, understand, Cubans were the only ones out there now that this pertained to. There is not another nationality or an ethnic group on this planet that got this special consideration. Well, not even communist Chinese get this special. Well, obviously they're not going to travel. Is it 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 miles to get here by boat? That's not going to happen. Well, even Hawaii is probably 3,000 or 4,000 miles. It's not going to happen. But even they didn't have that type of wet foot, dry foot type of thing. But for Cubans, they did. And they couldn't go to Puerto Rico, which is really odd. They had to come to the mainland. Now, this is how I understand the it's not really a law, but the policy. This is how I understand. Now, somebody who's smarter about these types of policies than I am, they can correct me if I'm mistaken on this, but I don't believe that they could go to Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is much closer than trying to get to Florida. Now, I think they had to come to the mainland. They had to, and I don't think it was just minimum. If they somehow got blown off and they ended up in Texas or Louisiana or something, I think it's wet foot, dry foot. They got to stay, but they had to come to the mainland. I don't think they could go to Puerto Rico, but Obama's just swept that under the rug now, and he swept it under the rug. So basically, this is a visa-free path for Cubans who make it to U.S. soil. No longer is relevant. thanks to basically to a pen stroke by President Barack Hussein Obama. And he's done it for a reason, folks. And it's not the reason that you think. Or maybe you do think it. If you listen to this program, you probably know. But I'll tell you right next. Don't go anywhere.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us,
after this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You know, Obama has done a number of things since he's become basically a lame duck, which was the day November 9th, day after the election, when everybody realized and understood that it was serious that Donald Trump had won the election. Now, understand, if Hillary Clinton had won the election, then he wouldn't be a lame duck. Obama would not be a lame duck if Hillary Clinton won the election. Do people realize that? Because he would have been able to do things through her for the next 4 years. You know, she basically she had nothing on her own. Hillary Clinton was an empty suit. People realize that? She was an empty suit. She was basically just going to, she had morphed into something that was, agreeing with Obama in just about everything. They got together and she's like, hey, Obama, why don't you take my Hillary Care plan from the 90s that America didn't like then. Now's the time we can get this done. And you can go ahead and call it Obamacare if you want. I won't mind as long as we get it done. Obama looked at it and said, yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Really? I know we don't like each other, but we can help each other. Trust me, they still don't like each other. I know we can help each other. And notice how that when she was having trouble dispatching Bernie Sanders, that's when she started to distance herself from Obama. Now, it was very slight at first, and because she was waiting for Obama to give her permission to do. She's an empty suit. Most of the stuff that she was talking about and during this campaign was nothing more than a continuation of Obama's policies. Not because they worked, because obviously they didn't, but because she had nothing on her own. I'm still convinced that she didn't want to win this election. She had to make it look like she fought very hard for it, in order to save her life because she owed too many people too much money. Which is why she didn't That's why she didn't campaign in states I know she knows she should have gone to some of these states that Trump won. She didn't campaign in them. Or she sent stupid surrogates like her daughter. Why do you spend your time in California when you know you've got California locked up, but you don't go to Michigan where it was possible you could have lost it, and she did? But so she was just an empty suit. She had nothing. And Obama, he played his part beautifully. Because look how long it took him to actually come out and endorse her. Well, they didn't want to make it look like he was all for her. Of course, they had to play up the point that they really didn't like each other, because they still don't. Clintons and Obamas don't like each other. I don't care what anybody says. You don't see them together very often unless they absolutely have to for appearance sake. It's a photo op. That's it. They don't like each other. But he was depending on her to be his fifth term, to keep him from being lame duck. And she lost it. She lost in a surprise to them, but not to the rest of the country, but in a surprise to them, she lost. And then she probably went into a depression funk simply because maybe she thought her life was over, literally, because somebody would be coming after her, because she isn't going to be able to fulfill all of those what is expected of her from all of that cash that they got through their Clinton Foundation, all those payoffs and bribes. I'm convinced of that, too. So Obama's had to do some things in order to try to save or protect his legacy, because Hillary won't be there to help enshrine it. And he's doing everything that he possibly can, all this stuff in order to try to hamstring Donald Trump as he gets in office his first 100 days. He's trying to just load him up with stuff that he thinks Donald possibly can't handle, so some of it's going to stick. And one of the things that he's done is just get rid of this wet foot, dry foot thing. And the reason is, it isn't because it's unfair to the rest of the world. I know some of you think, well, he's just trying to make things more fair because, Democrats always talk about things being fair. Well, if he wanted to make things fair, and things were pretty fair, because, most people that come here illegally, they get to stay simply because Obama hasn't been deporting anybody. So basically, he announced yesterday that he's ending a long-standing immigration policy that allows any Cuban who makes it to U.S. soil to stay and become a legal resident. Refugee status, basically. No, but, Cubans can't come, and they live in a repressive communist regime, and we know that the island of Cuba, the island nation of Cuba, is a hellhole. There's nothing great. I mean, they're still driving around in 1957 Chevys, for crying out loud. Sure, they're classics here, but they're not classics there. They're just everyday cars there. And these people have had to resort to fabricating their own parts because there's nothing there. The repeal of the wet foot, dry foot policy is effective immediately. The decision follows months of negotiations focused in part on getting Cuba to agree to take back people who had arrived in the U.S. Because this whole notion that Cuba wasn't going to take people back who left the island. The point is that Castro at one point basically emptied his prisons and all the criminals and political dissidents that he put on these boats and sent them sailing towards the USA. Of course they weren't going to take them back. He just got rid of them. But if you're a regular everyday citizen of whom, they think that you're normally law-abiding, oh, no, they don't. It's like China. They don't let you leave. You got to go through, jump through hoops in order to leave. If it makes a political statement for the Castro regime to take you back, then that's what they'll do. Elian Gonzalez, anybody? His father, who split with his mother, he was a good Castro commie. And they used him to the hilt. Send back our child. Yeah, it sounded more German, sorry. Look, we'll have no more chit-chat. You send back Elian Gonzalez so his father can raise him right in the Cuban way. And that's what the Clintons did. His mother tried to be a wet foot, dry foot. She drowned getting him here. He gets here, Clinton send him back. Hey, Obama would have done the same thing. But he would have done it faster. And frankly, those people that harbored Elian, his blood family that was here, that was harboring him, they would be in trouble under Obama. The Clintons just ripped him out of their arms. They just went to the door, ripped him out, ripped little Elian out of his of his relatives' arms, and that's it. But Obama, he would have sent the popo to arrest them all. That's what he would have done. Don't doubt me on that. But the reason is so he can continue his policy of opening relations and normalizing relations with Cuba. See, that's been a whole issue with Cuba. The Castro regime has never liked this wet foot, dry foot thing unless they could use it to their advantage, like emptying their prisons. But they've never liked this wet foot, dry foot thing. This whole notion, well, they've got to agree to take all these people back if they come here. That was never an issue. The problem is that if those people go back, most of them were considered to be political dissidents and enemies of the state, and they were thrown in jail. That's why those people didn't want to go back. It wasn't because... any repressive regime, if you got from the former USSR, Soviet Union, from the former communist, total red China communism, China, not the modern version, but the former version before they opened up, if you got sent back, you became a political prisoner. You went to a jail or a gulag. I don't know where they sent most of their political dissidents in China, but I do know that they sent Russia sent most of theirs to Siberia. You didn't want to go back. You escaped from East Germany into West Germany, and West Germany said, no, you got to go back to East Germany. They didn't want to. They would have rather died than go back. It's the same thing with Cuba even today. These people don't want to go back. The interesting thing is that since we've so-called normalized Cuban relations and we've put our embassy, open an embassy back there, Americans have gone to Cuba. Not in droves, but there's been a trickle of Americans. The point is, more non-Cubans have gone to Cuba, gone to Cuba, than Cubans have. And the Cubans that are here in this country will tell you they're afraid to death that if they step foot off the airplane and on the tarmac in Cuba, that they will be arrested and they will never make it back to the U.S. So they refuse to go back because they're too damn scared. For good reason. Well, he's doing this to try to normalize relations with Cuba, to continue that process. Yes, with a dictatorship, a regime that definitely oppresses its people. In my book, Cuba's no better than North Korea. The people are suffering almost equally horrible treatment. While the leadership and those inside, within the, well, if you want to use the royal court type of analogy, while those in leadership and within the royal court live high on the hog. What was it? I heard upon Fidel Castro's death, was there some estimate of his worth? It was in the billions of dollars. Well, it's basically because Fidel Castro and his brother Raul, like Che Guevara, they believe that they own the island. And that the people there, if they're not in their political ruling class regime, and that you're just there for them. You're just slaves, pretty much. There is no caring about the people. If they cared about the people, they wouldn't keep them closed off like that. And if they wanted to leave, they let them leave. Only repressive regimes, repressive governments have to put up walls and force the people to stay. Only in repressive regimes where there is no hope, there is very little chance at all for upward mobility and improving your life for yourself and your family. Only in places like that do people risk their lives to get someplace else. Mexico is pretty much the same way, although Mexico isn't necessarily a repressive communistic regime, but Mexico is awful as far as economic opportunity is concerned. Many of the Central America. Do you see a lot of people from Ecuador trying to wet foot, dry foot, basically to the United States? No. Why? Because Ecuadorians have decent economic opportunity, where many Mexicans don't. Guatemala's the same way, although Guatemalans usually try to get here legally. And Cubans have no hope either. That's why they're willing to risk their very lives to get here. And this guy, Obama, he just closed the door for many of them now. Because now if they leave, they're going to be marked because they're going to have to come back if they're caught. And that's surely either a prison sentence or a death sentence.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Well, the dreams in the ditch. Now the kids are all pissed.
And welcome back. It is here on this Friday the 13th, and it's bad news for, it is Friday the 13th for Cubans. It's bad news for them because Barack Hussein Obama is now just signed death sentences for some of them. You know, he did all this at the behest, in order to get Cuban-U.S. relations moving forward. Obama did this at the behest of the Cuban government, Raul Castro. So basically, if the Cuban government wanted this policy to end, because the island is draining, the population is draining. Because there are people that are trying to leave. I mean, and now they're just going anywhere. They're trying to get to the U.S., but they're even heading to Mexico now. Because there is this thing that if they can get to Mexico, then they can, because there's this whole industry, underground industry in Mexico that human trafficking basically. If they can get to Mexico, they can probably get to the U.S. So if they can't get to the U.S., if they can get to Mexico, they'll try that too. Now, the wet foot, dry foot thing, as far as I understand how this policy worked, it didn't work in Puerto Rico, but I understand that there were more and more of them getting to Puerto Rico because that was a jumping off point to get to where? Mexico. And again, if they could get to Mexico, they could get into the underground industry of human trafficking, and sure, they may have to work and pay a lot of money or at least get the information. The underground basically is like the Underground Railroad for slaves. Remember that from history? Underground. There's an underground railroad in Mexico that brings people, and literally some of that stuff is those tunnels. Some of those tunnels are pretty damn long. It's literally Underground Railroad. And the countryside on the border is littered with these things. Every time we seem to find one, they probably build a couple more. And the interesting thing is that these are just not hollowed out dirt tunnels. These are pretty sophisticated systems because these things are used for not only trafficking people, and many times, if there's a cave-in, they could care less if the people are trapped in there, but it's also used for running illicit drugs across the border without being detected. Now, that's more important to these drug lords than people are. I don't want to lose my drugs. That's money. So a lot of these tunnels that they're finding, they're pretty sophisticated. Some of them have a rail system. I mean, they're some of them are lit. They have electricity in them. Some of them are concrete lined. They're not just little type of hut types of tunnels. These are serious, sophisticated tunnels. And some of them are pretty deep. They're not just, a couple feet underground. They're pretty deep, which is why if you built a wall, you'd really have to make sure that wall went down like 50 feet. No, but these people, they want to leave. And too many of them have left or are trying to leave. So at the behest of because hey, if it's such a wonderful paradise of a place, why would you want to leave? And if you did leave, you should at least want to come back. Just go on vacation and then you come back. That's the whole point. That is the evil reason. Because notice he isn't sending any of these Syrian or Somali refugees back anywhere, is he? No. He wants to get cozy with the communist regime of Cuba. And this is one of the things that the communist regime of Cuba has asked him to do, is to start sending back people that leave Cuba without Castro's permission. That's the reason, folks. Don't doubt me.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. the Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an A-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Here we are, hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show on this Freaky Friday, on this Friday the 13th, on this Freedom Friday.
Welcome to Freedom Friday.
Yes, indeed, it is January number 13, the year of our Lord 2017, a week away in about, 6 days, 1 hour. Basically, we'll have President Trump, and that's a good thing for a lot of people. That's a good thing for the entire country. There are people out there that are folks. Anyway, we just take things a little bit lighter here on Fridays. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. But here's a topic that is not so lighthearted. There are folks out there that are sounding warning buzzers over a Trump presidency. They're literally, these people are not nut jobs either. There are people talking about Trump going down in history like John F. Kennedy. There are a lot of people in this country today that think that John F. Kennedy his assassination was an inside job. Sure, there was collusion, they think, with the Soviet Union, but they think it was done with the help of one of our intelligence agencies, like the NSA or CIA. And there are they think this because of the massive cover-up. Now, there is no doubt about it, folks. There is a massive cover-up over the John F. Kennedy assassination still to this very day. I don't care how you look at it. That man that was in that factory or apartment window, whatever that place was not the only shooter. There are way too many people on the ground that say that there were 2 shots coming from 2 different directions. You know, the old grassy knoll thing? And if you look at the president's head, each time he was shot, it would tell you from the direction that the bullet came from. Or bullets. There were two. Plain and simple. And if we look at when they're looking at measuring the wounds, the path that the bullets took, there's no way in hell that they both came from the same gun at the same elevation. So we know that there is this massive cover-up, which is why a lot of Americans, that know about this stuff, or probably was around back then and alive, and they look at this stuff today, and they're saying that there was a massive cover-up, and the only way there could be such a massive cover-up is if people at high levels, secretive levels, like our intelligence agencies, like the CIA, were involved at some point, at some level. And this is what people are thinking about Trump, because we know Trump in our intelligence community leadership is not really getting along. He's talked about changing the way they do business and doing away with some of these powers. Obama just gave the NSA some more powers, and I'll get into that next. Talking about taking away some of the powers that these agencies have on spying on us, the American citizen. Well, they're not nobody likes having power taken away from them. And these people will do anything that they possibly can. They will fight as hard as they have to in order to keep what they've gotten. Doesn't matter what it is. It's all about, it isn't about the American way of life. It's about their power and what they get to do. And what they get to do to you and me. Trump talks about some of that stuff is going to go away. So there are people that really are thinking and afraid for Donald Trump's well-being. And trust me, folks, Mr. Trump is thinking about that too. He's no fool. There was an article a couple of weeks ago about him keeping some of his own security staff. Well, that's the reason why. And they were saying, well, that's traditionally the realm of the Secret Service, and how is that going to work out? Well, you know what? The president can have anybody that he wants on his security detail. Do people realize that? The people don't realize that. They think that the Secret Service is the only purveyor of presidential. No, the president, if the Secret Service says, Mr. President, we don't think that you should do that, it's too dangerous, the president can say, okay, well, what would you suggest? Or he could say, figure it out, I'm doing it. Or I'm going there. And you're going to bring this person or have this person involved. The president gets to dictate who's on his detail. Did you know that? He can dictate it. He can say, I want, they'll say the president has requested you on his detail. No, basically the president's ordering. If the president wants a particular person, man or woman, as his prime bodyguard, basically, then that's who it's going to be. No ifs, ands, or buts. So if the president decides that his personal chief of security is going to be by his side, Secret Service cannot do anything about it. Now, I'm not disparaging the Secret Service, but, their history has been very good, but there's also some very dark spots in Secret Service history, is there not? The President Kennedy was assassinated under their protection. Ronald Reagan was hit, nearly assassinated under their protection. So they're not infallible. They're not infallible. Now, when it comes to President Kennedy, no, the Secret Service, I do not believe, was involved in any way whatsoever in that assassination. But we have many government agencies and many spooks, and they can get around those people. That's the scary part. But yeah, there are people who are genuinely, and listening to some of these liberal nut jobs out there, the way they talk and speak, and that's another cause for concern. Now you got Rosie O'Donnell out there saying that we should be under martial law until they can figure out, these charges against Donald. There are no charges against Donald Trump. There are accusations that have been leveled in the media, but there are no charges against Donald Trump. But we should be under martial law, and he should be put off until he can be cleared. Oh, that's the case then. Well, first of all, she doesn't understand what martial law is all about and what it's used for and how it's used and when it can be used. And two, they could put off finding out the real truth for the next 4 years, which is what they're hoping. It's what Rosie's hoping. Besides, why would you care, Rosie? I thought you said that you were leaving this country if Donald Trump were elected. Well, he got elected, and you're still here, and you're still talking. So why are you still here? It just the damnedest thing. We can't, even when they promise to leave, they still don't leave. Are liberals nothing but liars? You lied to us. You lied to your family. I'm leaving this country if Donald Trump, who called me an angry cow, is elected president. 2.5 months later, she's still here. She lied. The New York Times is reporting that the NSA gets more latitude to share intercepted communications under the orders of Barack Obama in his final days. Obama has expanded the power of the National Security Agency, otherwise known as the NSA, to share globally intercepted personal communications with the government's 16 other intelligence agencies before applying privacy protections. Isn't that wonderful? Is this why the British call their intelligence agencies, MI5, MI6? Because they're like us. They have more than one. We just give them alphabet letter names. And what are all? I know some of the intelligence agencies they're calling the FBI is an intelligence agency. Not really, but that's what they're one of the 16. But I'm not sure I understand what all 16 or 17 actually that there are. I know there's a military intelligence. Well, let's run down this really quick. You have Air Force intelligence, which is really part of military intelligence. You have Army intelligence, again, part of military intelligence. You have the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. You have the Coast Guard Intelligence Agency. Didn't realize Coast Guard had their own intelligence, but that makes sense. Then you have the military, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency. It's there. It alone has more than 16,000 military and civilian employees worldwide. It's really to gather military intelligence worldwide, and of course, the Department of Energy which is the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence. Yeah, the Department of Energy has an intelligence branch. Homeland Security, of course. DHS has its own intelligence analysis force. That's not like the FBI or anything. Of course, you have the Department of State, which has their own. The Department of Treasury has their own. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, has their own intelligence agency and staffed with intelligence officers. The FBI, the Marine Corps has theirs. A National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Now, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency provides timely, relevant, and accurate geospatial intelligence in support of national security objectives. Information collected and preceded by the NGA is tailored for customer-specific solutions by giving customers ready access to geospatial intelligence. Now, NGA provides support to civilian and military leaders in tracking floods and fires and in peacekeeping. NGA is a Department of Defense combat support agency headquartered in Springfield, Virginia. So you have the NGA, which is a DOD agency, military intelligence, the National Reconnaissance Office and National Security Agency, or the NSA, Central Security Service Department, Navy Intelligence. There you go. I don't know. And these people don't communicate with each other? Well, I guess they are now, according to Obama's sake, because he's just said so. And the reasoning is I guess so they can they're better able of denying you your constitutional rights. So the new rules significantly relax long-standing limits on what the NSA may do with the information gathered by its most powerful surveillance operations, which are largely unregulated by American wiretapping laws. These include collecting satellite transmission, phone calls, and emails that cross network switches abroad, and messages between people abroad that cross domestic network switches. Now, here's the problem, folks. Do you realize that little sentence alone puts you and I at risk? Emails that cross network switches abroad. It is very easy, depending on the time of day, for your email to say, go through a switch or a server, internet server located in Canada. That automatically becomes a purvey of the NSA. They knew this when they made this type of order. They knew exactly what they were doing in order to get around your constitutional protections. Oh, no. It doesn't count anymore because your email went international. And it only went international simply because of how the internet is set up. You could be in Des Moines, Iowa, and need to send an email to your neighbor who's also in Des Moines, Iowa. And because of the way this system is set up, it could be switched in order to get to there as fast as possible. It may be routed through Canada. Now your email to your next-door neighbor is an international email and can be spied upon without your knowledge by the NSA and other governmental intelligence agencies. Look it up, folks.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Six 603-835-3226. That is the number to call should you wish to join me here live in the remaining minutes of the program this Freedom Friday morning. Now, with all of that said, you have all these agencies and so-called intelligence agencies that are crisscrossing the globe. And 99% of the time, you could have multiple intelligence operatives, agency operatives, working in the same country, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. They don't even know who each other is. It's the world is full of spies. You can have I don't care where you live, you could have a spy living in your neighborhood. That's the whole point. And you'll probably say, well, I don't know who that could be. Well, frankly, that's the whole point. You see, spying isn't like it is in the movies. Sure, there may be some of that type of dramatic spying going on, but most of it is not like that. Most of it is very quiet. It's very boring. These people, they blend in because they don't want you to know what they do. They don't want you to know who they are. Some spies might even be prominent people in your community. Maybe they might. You never know what kind of front they could be running because you never know it's a front, because that's why it's a front, because it looks real. They might be a business owner, or they might even be a community leader. You never know. These people blend in and they look like they're just like you and me. And I don't want people running around, with a sly eye looking at all their friends and neighbors now and thinking, he could be a spy. He could be. I'm not telling you to be paranoid. I'm just telling you, for the most part, you would never know who within your realm of influence and knowledge is a spy, if there was one, because a spy isn't just necessarily James Bond. Sure, there are a few James Bond. Each country has their own James Bond running around the world. And sure, they're doing things, they many of them have this so-called license to kill. They really don't, because if they get caught in another country, they're going to jail. But they do have this sort of license to kill type of thing when necessary or when ordered. But other than that, there aren't a hell of a lot of James Bond's 007s running around the globe. So there isn't a lot of that kind of spying going on. But no, a lot of spies are just analysts too. They sit back in a room somewhere in front of their computer or listening to tape after recording after recording, looking for stuff, listening for stuff. It's a lot of paperwork. A lot of sit in your seat type of investigation going on in today's spy world. You never know who that spy is. Most of them are benign. They're not dangerous at all. And most of them probably, even though that you may know them and they may know you, they don't look at you personally. But they may run across your data sometime. They probably run across it all the time. Yeah, sure, sometimes it's anonymous. They don't know who it is, but sometimes they do. Point is that it's all easily accessed now because of the way this whole setup is set up. International versus domestic. Well, hardly anything is domestic anymore. Lots of stuff goes international, and you don't even know it.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Bring the rain.
Not to try to scare anybody, but I'm all about honesty and full disclosure here on this program, but let me just, since we're talking about this spy stuff and international switches and things going to Canada and such, you got to understand that this very program, this very broadcast is subject to those laws, rules, and regulations that they have on spying stuff. And the reason is because, first of all, Spreaker I do believe, is a German company. And this program itself is heard around the world. I mean, and the same with Blog Talk Radio. I mean, I've had people calling from overseas. In order for people to hear this overseas, this program via the internet has to go through foreign or international switches and servers. Automatically makes it open to their spying, if you will. I'm under no there's no veil over my eyes that I think that I have some sort of privacy when it comes to this kind of stuff, as far as they currently have the regulations and policies written. And if you do anything online, you should understand that you do not have that expectation either. You should not have that expectation. Just saying, folks. I don't want to scare people off from the internet, but I mean, if you live in the northern part of this country, the northern half, basically. Now this is less likely in the southern half because Mexico doesn't have a very strong communications network or system outside of Mexico City. Yeah, they're not backward, completely backwards. They have some, but Canada has a better system that is more similar to ours. And just like we have power lines, high-tension power lines that run crisscross the border, well, so does our communications network. And a simple phone call could be switched. Even if you use a landline phone, it could go through a Canadian switch or a server. And that makes your phone call international now. Believe it or not, it does. You may say, well, no, it's a domestic call. No, when it comes to following the electronic line, it's an international call. And this is why, notice how we don't have a lot of separate, usually the international calling plans, and now most companies include U.S. and North America, Mexico, U.S. and Canada, and some it may just be Canada and the U.S., and that's why your phone call can easily go international without you even knowing it. Even when you're just thinking, especially if you're calling cross country, if you're from New York calling California, you better damn well believe that it's probably going through some Canadian switch. Just saying, folks. Just saying. I mean, I don't know how all that stuff works intimately because I've never worked for any of those companies, but I do know enough to be dangerous. And I'm telling you, that's how this whole system works. And you can look it up. You don't have to believe me. I always tell people to do that. Just don't look that stuff up for yourself so you can find out more information. Ed Klein talked to Newsmax, and he said Obama plans a shadow cabinet to oppose Trump. Told you he wasn't going anywhere. President Barack Obama is setting up an informal shadow cabinet to resist Donald Trump at every turn. Now, the subject of that farewell address, the subtext, I should say, of that farewell address is, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still the head of the party. I'm going to organize a resistance to Donald Trump, and I want you all to follow me. Now, Klein said this to Steve Malzberg on the America Talks Live show in an interview. He's staying in Washington, D.C. The Chicago stuff was just a one-night stand. He's got a big mansion in Washington. But he says this effort will not include Hillary Clinton. I told you it's not going to include. You can't stand Hillary. Hillary lost. There's nothing that she can do for him now. That's why he's staying. She can't do anything, so that's why he's staying. If she won, he probably would have went off to, I doubt if he would have actually moved back to Chicago, but, he wouldn't be staying in D.C. But he's staying because Trump won. But, he got himself a big house, putting up a big wall around it, from what I understand. And now, hey, I'm telling you right now, I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to be right there. I want you standing with me, because the more of you that are surrounding me, then less chance I get taken out, because I'm a coward. Can't stand up for myself on my own. I gotta have all these other people around me, because some of these people are smarter than I am. I know I'm the smartest president there ever was, and smarter than any president there ever will be. But I need these people around me. Just protect my ass. Just saying. I ain't going. That's why I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to stay right there. I'm going to be in Donald Trump's face every single day. He's not going anywhere. And now there are a lot of other people that think the same thing, and they're even telling you why and how, and I've already told you that. Now, can I ask one thing? I know a lot of you have probably listened to people like Rush and Hannity and Levin and Glenn Beck and Michael Savage and other locals, more local personalities as well. Are any of them talking about this stuff? Because, I whenever I listen to Rush and Hannity and Howie Carr and Howie Carr talks about some different stuff, but he's also, first half of his show is always very similar. And Levin and those people, whenever I listen to those people, if I get the chance to listen to them straight through one day, they all talk about the same stuff. I don't talk about a lot of the same stuff they do. They'll talk about it ad nauseum. I'm giving you real stuff here, folks. So I need to spread the word about this program. They're not going to be talking about Obama expanding NSA powers, probably. They're not going to be talking about his shadow cabinet. And sure, they all said, well, he ain't going anywhere. I said he ain't going anywhere. And sure, they're all saying he ain't going anywhere, but they're not saying why. And I know sure as hell none of them are talking about comic strips in newspapers either, like I did earlier. Nobody's talking about Rose's Rose comic strips. Anyway, there's also a key Senate committee that is not even going to look into the so-called Trump-Russian election collusion connection. They're not going to review it. They're not going to review it simply not because they're afraid of what they'll find, because there's nothing there. I mean, it's the one thing that the Democrats did about shooting themselves in the foot about this whole Russian hacking thing is falling for the fake news and then disseminating it and then defending themselves like BuzzFeed for disseminating the fake news about that stupid dossier. I can't believe this. These people, these BuzzFeed editors and CEO and stuff like that, running around now to all these different interview shows. Well, you do realize it was fake news, and they're defending their why they published it because it was too important. It takes you back to the notion that it's the seriousness of the charges that count. There were no charges. Some guy in Germany? I guess this hacker named 4chan, whatever his name is. That hacker is the one that's taking credit for this, and there's some evidence that points that right now that they have that points that he is the one that made this up. And so there are no charges. It's like a book. It's a piece of fiction. He made it all up. So there are no charges. There's nothing serious about it. It was all fiction. And it is coming out that that's exactly what it is, just 100% fiction. Some of it may look like that it could have been real, but you're defending something that is complete 100% fiction, and you didn't bother to find out first if it was or wasn't, regardless of who had it, why they got it, where they got it, or why they were passing it around. I mean, they were probably trying to figure out if it was real, and some people are probably saying, hey, look at this. This looks pretty real, huh? You can guarantee that in our intelligence agencies, they were passing this around from agency to agency, not because somebody said that we should be looking into this. They were probably saying, look how good this is. Look how much of a fake how good this fake is and how it can fool. They were probably using it as an educational tool to get the different spooks from the various agencies to understand and recognize what's fake and not fake. And then you got these stupid newspapers here and what we call, media, lamestream media. Somehow somebody decides to leak it to them, probably as a joke to see who would bite. And you got CNN and you got BuzzFeed who took the bait. They ran with it, and they're probably sitting in some dark office someplace laughing their asses off because BuzzFeed is still out there defending why they published nothing but fakery. Fiction. It's unbelievable. If this were on Obama, do you think that they would have been so quick to? No, they would have double checked, triple checked, fourple checked, fivel checked if they could. And then they'd put a kibosh on it. So the only way that we would have found out here in this country is if we would have went to a British newspaper. But since it was Trump and they don't like him, they wanted to believe that this was true. So instead of doing what they should have been doing, being professionals and being journalists, they thought, yeah, we got him now. We got Trump now. We got Trump. Yes, 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 we got him. And instead they got. They didn't get anybody but themselves. Red State is reporting that we do not need to replace Obamacare, just repeal it. As a matter of fact, in 2008, Obama and the Democrats began telling us that America was suffering from an epidemic of people dying on emergency room floors because they didn't have health insurance. We've got to do something right away, as they said. Of course, that wasn't the truth about that. But evidently there was a study and a poll done, and still more than 62% of the American people want to repeal Obamacare and not replace it. So Republicans, you don't have to worry about this whole notion, well, we got to repeal and replace at the same time. Don't worry about replacing it. The vast majority of us just want you to repeal it and leave it alone. No need to replace. Let us just open up the spigots of competition in health insurance, and competition will bring down the price. It'll increase our coverage. It'll allow us to get the exact kind of coverage that we want, when we need it. And you know, well, what about this pre-existing condition stuff? Well, you know what? It's not somebody. All they wanted to do with this pre-existing condition, and I know it may sound cruel to some people, but all they really wanted to do is get somebody else to pay for that person's bills. It's not insurance if you find out you're sick with some catastrophic illness and then you go get insurance. That's not insurance. That's getting somebody else, like a government program, to pay for your bills. There are so many ways before Obamacare that people could have taken care of their health insurance needs. You know, one was called a catastrophic or major medical plan. For most of us under Obamacare, we can't get that kind of plan anymore. I mean, you can't self-insure yourself either. In fact, some of these so-called sharing, sharing type of systems where every month there's some family submits their bills and everybody among the sharing part of this gathering or union, they got to dish out $100 or something like that in order to help cover that. And if you get that type of thing, you send it in and they share it. In many cases, they have to get waivers in order to have that kind of health insurance coverage. Waivers, by the way, which were set to expire by 2020 for most of them. So Americans want this gone. Republicans, wake up. We don't want a replacement. We just want government out of our healthcare system, like they're out of our car insurance system, like they're out of our home insurance system, like they're out of our life insurance system. We want them out of our health insurance system so competition can flourish, so we can actually get products and services that we want to pay for, not for stuff that we don't want to pay for or don't need.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
There's been some quick news and counter news to certain things about the Trump inauguration coming up next week. Now, it's quite interesting because last night, if you're paying attention to any of this stuff, Radar Online was saying that Paul Anka had agreed to perform at Trump's inauguration. But TMZ is just reporting within the hour that Paul Anka is turning down the Trump inauguration, but it's not political, he says. How old is Paul Anka? I have no idea. I tried finding his age really quick during the break, and I have no idea how old. How it doesn't list his birth date. He's been around for decades. Actually, he's been around for a very long time, and but I guess he's turning it down, probably because he's afraid of the left. Now, this is politicians. Some politicians like Trump may not be afraid of the left, but there are regular, everyday people and celebrities that are afraid of the left. Yahoo News is reporting that protesters will aim to disrupt the Trump inauguration. That's what the whole point is. I brought you the story the other day about the FBI and along with the Secret Service are planning a 360-degree circle around the inauguration of protection because these people are serious. Thousands of demonstrators are expected to turn out in Washington next week for protests aiming to shut down the inauguration of Donald Trump as the next U.S. president. And this is what organizers have said yesterday. Protesters will attempt to close down 12 security checkpoints at the U.S. Capitol where Trump will take the oath of office on January 20th and along the 2.5-mile parade route down Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, I'm going to suggest that Trump probably don't do that. However, there is something new. Trump is going to get a new one. It's called, they're calling it the Cadillac One. And these are two brand new presidential limousines, and they'll debut at the inauguration. And they'll be, the first president to use them will be President Donald Trump. Now, what's different in these things, other than upgraded armor and other security measures in the vehicle that are pretty standard, they've also added things like tear gas and quick release shotguns. So at least the Secret Service is pretty damn serious about protecting the prez and with this new vehicle. It's quite interesting. And finally today, by the way, the IRS, it seems, is going to. This is, not such a bad thing, I would suppose. The IRS is going to delay some 40 million low-income family tax returns this year in order to, as they say, fight fraud. I don't know how they. Well, I guess due to identity fraud. So 40 million low-income families this year as the agency is going to step up their efforts to fight identity theft and fraud. And that's due to these facts that these people are getting all kinds of government bonuses and welfare handouts, and it's a lot of money. So, yeah, fraudsters are looking to that because it's a quick payday for them. And it's hard to trace once it gets out there. It is what it is, folks. Well, that is the end of the program for today and this week. We'll be back here on Monday, live, bright and early, so have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your freedom while you got it. Thanks for listening, folks. Tell a friend about the program, and we'll see you back here on Monday, the last week of Obama. I'm Rod Eccles for The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Left dogs in the press, keep the mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For Clinton, what's loaded in some fat apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.